You're listening to Amazing Radio. This is Amazing Afternoons. Delighted to say that we have Saint Lundy on the line with me right now. How's it going, Archie? You okay?
Yeah, hey, how you doing? Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on here on Amazing Afternoons. You're just back from tour, a couple of weeks out on the road. How was that? Are you getting back to normal life now?
It was great. Yeah. I went on tour with a guy called Darren Kiley, who's an Irish artist, lives out in Nashville. And yeah, we did about 10 shows in 12 days around Europe and UK. So it was quite a full-on run, but it was really nice to play to crowds I've never played to before in like Edinburgh and Utrecht and places like this. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You've done some big supports in your, in your career so far, but there's something quite special about playing on a stage where the audience, if you like, are there just they're not necessarily there for you, but they're there to be won over. And it's playing to packed rooms all the time. It's kind of like a free hit, isn't it? And you must get a buzz when you pick up all the fans, you check your phone after the gig, and you got loads of new followers and that kind of thing. It's kind of it's hard work, but it's easy work at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's one of those things. I think like some gigs you get less of that and you feel a little bit more like Friday and Saturday nights can be particularly chatty sometimes. They weren't on this tour luckily, but I think for anyone that goes out and does supports in future, just remember when you're on stage that if people are chatting, it's not because they're maybe not liking the songs. The amount of people they've chatted or it looks on their face like they're not enjoying it and they come up at the end and like, wow, I was just so into it, and it's so easy on stage to get in your head and stuff. But I mean, I make the effort after every show to go out and give out these free artworks and all of this, so I get to meet everyone after, which is I think one of my favorite parts of touring actually. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and do you know what? The people who you meet will remember that, that connection. They've found you maybe by mistake supporting one of their favorite artists. You then become one of their favorite artists. They come and see you the next time you go around. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Making those connections, being in those places, playing in those places, the spaces you've never been to before. And only music can do that, really, can't it?
Yeah, I mean that's the hope as well. We've put on a it's a bit mad, but we've put on a free free tour in August, September. It's a pop-up kind of like acoustic tour, and it's pretty small, like 70 tickets a night or something. And I think in the past week they've all kind of gone. But I think as a result of just being able to go out and meet new people and create that connection. So yeah, I'm really excited to see a bunch of these people again from the crowds in a few months and play to them, which is that's the magic of it, really, isn't it? It's like winning people over, and I feel as an artist I have to put that work in and earn the right for them to buy that ticket.
Yeah, well, you got the right ethos there, but your music is pretty accessible. I think once you get that audience, people will dig it. It's just about getting that audience in front of you. And you've got this big date coming up, 107 days now until the album finally
That
comes
what it
out.
is. Yeah,
107 days. I worked it out for you, 20th of September. Um, so I mean, how does that feel? Because I guess it's a great milestone to finally have, but I guess as well, you've worked all your life for this date, and it's finally happening. Does it feel real yet?
no, do you know what? It doesn't. I think like it feels real that it's coming out. And I spent all the last year making it. And I'm still working on an addition to it now, with some acoustic tracks. But it's one of those things where I'm so into every single that we're putting out until then. You're so like locked in on everything you have to do on social media with touring over the past couple of weeks. I've got some more tour dates in a few weeks in Ireland and then more after that in America, and you're kind of so locked in on each song as it comes to just give it the best push off you can give it, that yeah, I think the album's going to creep up on me, and before I know it, maybe we'll be chatting again and you're like, it's out in 10 days, how do you feel? And I'm like,
Yeah.
but like I'm really proud of it. And it's so easy to you spend like years making something. The first song I wrote on this album I wrote 3.5 years ago, and to have something that spans over that kind of time, and for me it kind of sums up the beginning chapter of myself as an artist. And yeah, to have that kind of come into one project and it gets put out into the world, and people will judge whether it's done well or not, and probably me more so than anyone else. It's a bit of a scary thing, but ultimately I'm really excited for people to hear it. And I think there's some songs in there that there's definitely people out there that need to hear it. I think especially there's a song in there about my mum and dad, and whenever I play that on tour, I just get overwhelming amounts of people come up and say, "Wow, I needed to hear that." So yeah, I'm excited for it to get out. Hopefully.
Yeah, we're excited to receive it as well. Tell us about the process then. You said some of the songs are written as long ago as maybe over 3 years ago, but were they all recorded in a cohesive place at a single time, or was it a kind of labor of love over a number of months? Tell us about the process, where it was at, who you did it with, if anyone.
Yes, so I mean, 3.5 years ago when I wrote that first song, which is "Follow My Heart," that was the first track of the album. Really, I didn't know I was writing an album then. I was just writing songs, and then I think it was I don't know, around the time I went on a tour with a band called Codeline a couple of years ago. We did 28 days together, and I think it was around that time my manager we kind of said, we've got so many songs here, should we put out an album? And that was nearly 2 years ago now. And so that whole thing of like, let's put out an album, and then making it and all of this, it takes a long time. But it was in a few different rooms. Two of the main people I worked with, there's a guy called Brad Mayer who's out in like the mountains in Barcelona, which is a really amazing experience going out to him. And then the other is a guy called Matt James up in Blackpool, who I did most of the album with, and he's worked with a lot of amazing artists.
Blackpool and Barcelona, slightly different landscapes.
Yeah. Very different, especially with like Brad's place. But it was nice to have that feeling though. Both of them are like fathers, and both of it's like their studios within the houses, and to make the album in a environment that felt a little bit homely, I think was what I needed, which is really interesting as well. But yeah, I worked with loads of amazing people. It would take too long to name everyone, but lots of amazing people on this album. And yeah, I feel really excited about putting it out. And I'm already working on the next one, so it's I don't have any intention of stopping yet. So yeah, exciting times.
Just talk a little bit about the mechanics on the record then. Are you the kind of artist who would go in with a fully formed song and then just, get the guys who you've been working with to recommend the best mics to stick on it? Or are you quite adaptable in this studio environment where you take suggestion quite easily and you look around and be like, oh, let's try this filter pedal, like hardware, that kind of thing? Are you quite open as an artist to that kind of collaboration, if you like?
Very, very much so open when it comes to tech. I'm not. I've not had to. I do a little bit of production myself, and I do a lot on the album in terms of instrumental stuff and hearing a sound and saying, "Oh, let's put this in," or a drum beat or something. But as for like knowing certain microphones and certain plugins and all of this, I'm still not there with that yet. So I'm really open to it. But the one thing that I always kind of need is I'm always sat like right there next to whoever it is that I've got producing that record, and I'm sat there with them the whole time. And I think because of that, I've kind of watched Matt and Brad and so on produce this album, and I've come out of it, and I've learned to produce a bit myself now because I've just been so focused in on watching what they're doing. And I find it so interesting. It's like one of those things that we go in the studio at 10 in the morning and we leave at 2 a.m. and you're just like in there all day. But yeah, I'm super open. I love ideas, but I'm also really open, but also like if I don't like it, I don't like it kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that all comes through on the singles I've heard so far, and you can tell you've got an ear for it as well because you notice certain textures on the second and third listen, and I like that about music when it's been very considered. The sound which you have so much warmth in there as well as lots of other things going on. So you mentioned the pop-up tour that'll be in and around the release as well. Just you going out with the guitar, is it?
Yeah, so for that run, it would be just myself going out with a guitar and a keyboard, all around Europe. I think there's 15 dates. There's a few tickets left in spots like Brussels and Paris and so on, but most of them are all gone. There will be another tour shortly after that, which will be a full band one, which we're yet to announce. But I'll probably do like 15 dates and then 2 weeks later, I'll go out and do another like 15, 16 dates. So it's going to be a busy end of the year with the album coming out.
Yeah, and the summer you mentioned a couple of dates coming up in June. We're in June already. Do you want to mention those dates?
Yeah, yeah, they're coming around quickly. I'm off with Take That in Ireland and Northern Ireland, which is going to be
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, you just kind of glossed over that a little bit. I mean, that's a big audience you're playing in front of there.
Yeah, yeah. I think someone said it's some nights 20,000, some nights 25. So yeah, it's going to be the biggest shows I've ever played. I've not even like had a lot of chance to process it, to be honest, with everything going on. But yeah, now it's like a few weeks away, and I've had a few moments where I'm going to bed and I close my eyes at night and just I'm like, oh wow, that is going to be a lot of people. But yeah, it's amazing. It all came from I sent the band a message on Instagram and gained contact with Howard Donald, and he really kindly has given me a lot of time over the past 4 or 5 months just in messaging and when I announced my album, sharing my album on his socials, and I think he had a big part in getting me those support slots. So I've kind of got him to thank for it. But yeah, it's myself, then Ollie Murs, and then Take That for 3 nights in a row. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
That is mega. That is mega. But it's the stage you deserve, St. Lundy.
Oh, thank you so
You
much.
really do. You really do. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us here on Amazing Afternoons. Good luck with those dates and the pop-up tour, and of course the album. We'll speak to you later on in the year, I'm sure.
Thank you, Frankie. Cheers.